I'm Georgia Corner, and I have a pretty long dance history. I grew up in a small city in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and kind of came up always loving dancing but never having very serious training. And when I got to college, I was all set to do a science degree, and I took a ballet class my first semester, and it spoiled my grade point average, and I loved my instructor. She was amazing. And I was really into ballet at that time, but the instructor I had was a really active postmodern choreographer, so she was very inspired by ballet technique. She used it a lot, and so that was important for her for training, but she was had been part of the whole postmodern scene in New York, and so she did crazy things. So I moved to New York in 1990 and danced there for years and years. One way or another, things never go the way you think they're going to go in New York. I ended up running a studio in a kind of small, under the radar kind of a way, and through that studio I ended up meeting the Hawkins company, Eric Hawkins company, and totally fell in love with that technique, and I worked really hard to get into that company and ended up dancing with them for, I don't know, 6 or 8 years, something like that, for quite a while. So I've been in Madison since 2005 and almost immediately started working with Lisa and Robert. Lisa had been in New York at the same time, although we didn't really cross paths. She was working in the Graham Company, I was working with Hawkins. And so started teaching with Lisa, have done some choreography projects with them, and have really appreciated the fact that they're here in Madison. Expressing myself through movement it's just this thing inside of me. And ever since I was a kid, even when I didn't have opportunities to do serious dance training, I was always dancing in the living room. I was always moving around. I took every chance I could at school to, whenever there was a talent show, I'd do a dance. And moving is a really, really important part of who everyone is. It's just that some people are more aware of it. And as dancers, I feel we're lucky that we can be aware of it and that we can sort of explore ourselves and explore our society through movement, because not everyone has a chance to do that. I was teaching one of the Kanopy classes some Hawkins repertory, so I was looking for a Lou Harrison score that one of the dances I performed in the Hawkins Company. It's a beautiful dance, and so I ended up buying an album. And as I was listening, this one piece really struck me, and I kept listening to it again and again. And there's something very simple about it, because as the piece goes along, you're hearing the same piano chords over and over and over again, and it made me think about all sorts of big cosmic things like time. Something about that repetition and that sort of really has this very strong and steady pulse, and I just felt like that was very moving to me. And as I was listening to the words, it sounded to me like it was a man who was grieving for, he calls his brother, but I could easily imagine that it might have been a lover too, and it was making me think a lot about people I knew who had died way too young. And one of them was, of course, the choreographer I worked with in Minneapolis, because it really changed my life. The fact that he died, the fact that I met him was amazing. It changed me as a dancer. And then the fact that he died, that changed me too, because it made me move to New York, and pursue things there. So makes me think about how these people who have died are always with you. You think about them in little ways a lot, and they're this big piece of you.